This clock by Joseph Williamson, in my experience, is unique in that it tells local solar time. And to do that, each day is a different length, and so that the clock has to slowly gain time and then lose it again, as Greenwich Mean Time is different from the local solar time by the equation of time. And rather than just giving you a dial up here which tells you the difference between solar time and Greenwich Mean Time, he's made the annual calendar actually lift the pendulum up and down so that throughout the year it keeps in phase with the solar time that you'd read off the sundial. It's the only one I know of, and I think it's great fun because it must have been very difficult for people living in the country to understand why there was a difference between the clock and the sundial and that it changed every day. Whereas here, their clock kept in phase with the sundial, and if it was slightly out, they would adjust the clock to fit the sundial, and then it would keep time for another week or so. So it's a very interesting clock, and there ain't many about. It's got a lovely big bold dial with a lovely chapter ring. And in the lower part of the center here, you have this wonderful plaque, Hora Indicantur Apparentes Involu Equationibus. The hours indicate apparent time through complicated equations. Lovely complex spandrels in the corner, wheatear engraving all the way around the dial, and these wonderful hands with the piercing and the chamfering of the swirls, and the lovely minute hand with much more complicated root than most of the minute hands which were popular at the time. Very attractive, and the very, very tapered, fine minute hand here. And you can see the clock ticking and moving forward second by second in phase with the second hand. You can almost see the recoil of the pendulum on each of the ticks. So I'll just open the door, and then you can see the pull for the shutters over the winding holes here. So that cocks an extra spring, and during the winding this means that the pendulum has drive through the escape wheel and will continue to tick. Whereas if they didn't have the maintaining power, the clock would actually stop or even run backwards. So if I pull it, you can hear the click, click, click as the spring is set on one of the wheels. And now we've got the extra drive, and I can come in and wind it. Being a month-going clock, it goes, the winding is backwards. The same on the striking time. So here you can see the shutters slowly going across the ends of the squares for the winding. They move very, very slowly, and you think they're never going to go click. There we go. And at the very top of the dial you have this breakarch here, two corner castings, and two interesting corner spandrel with a little face with a wing here, and then all the ornaments going on up. Gilded, and the sun on the calendar here showing November the 25th, and then the Sagittarian archer here. So you've got the signs of the zodiac on the inside the months in the middle and then the actual date of each month as we come round. So 25th of November, and the same drive drives the cam behind, which lifts and lowers the pendulum so that it keeps local solar time. The mechanism to create the pendulum to swing in time with a sundial requires the length of the pendulum to be adjusted throughout the year. And so at the very top of the clock here, we have on the front, we have the 365-day calendar, and on the back of it, we have a kidney-shaped disc. And the calendar is driven by a worm at the top here, and then it comes down to the first wheel of the going train, so that it's a crown wheel which then drives the vertically coming up worm wheel at the top, which goes round once every year. So to enable the clock to tell sundial time, we have to alter the length of the pendulum every day, and that is done by this lifting mechanism running on the kidney, pivoted here, lifting the back of the spring up and down. As the kidney moves, changing its radius, then this lever comes backwards and forwards. And I can show you it move, and you can then see the end of the pendulum going up and down. So I move it up and down, just as the kidney would move the pendulum. So we're looking at the bottom of the crutch now from the anchor escapement, and you can see the length of the pendulum shortening, going longer again, as the kidney drives the lever to lift and lower the mechanism. This shortens the pendulum, lengthens the pendulum in phase with the equation of time throughout the year. So on the 3 side of the clock, you have the strike train here. Being a month-going clock, the count wheel can't be on the great arbor, but is higher up the train. The train ends with the fly at the very top here, and it's a very big fly so that it has a lot of air resistance. So when the clock comes up to strike, it will actually run quite slowly. And so first of all it has to set to allow there we go, it's set, and now we're coming up to 4 o'clock, fly going, hammer coming back. Lovely, slow, melodious strike.